Welcome to Find Your Lady Tribe. My name is Brenda,
And I am Michelle.
and it's our mission to build a community of lady tribes, a place to connect and grow your tribe with resources, ideas, workshops, retreats, and events. We invite you to join our inner circle and become a tribe leader. It's free!
Each week, we will start a conversation about connecting within your tribe and across all of our tribes. Our goal is to create 1,000 new lady tribes in 2022. And each episode will challenge you with a call to action. The first one is to join our inner circle. Go to tinyurl.com/myladytribe. And as a gratitude gift, we will send you a downloadable copy of Chapter 1 of Lady and the Tribe, The Awakening.
Yay! So please subscribe to be notified of a new episode each week. Hello, welcome to Find Your Lady Tribe. You are in the right place today because we are so excited. We have a very special guest. Lynn Gravatt is with us today.
And just a few words of introduction to welcome Lynn. In 2008, Lynn had a spiritual awakening in which she revealed her purpose in 2 words: dance and spirituality. So, embodied movement. She began the study of Reiki in 2009 while she was still a full-time aerospace engineer. And in 2011, she left the corporate world behind to pursue divine wisdom of the self full-time and become a Kundalini Reiki Master in 2013. With her Reiki and other shamanic healing techniques, she's participated in remarkable short-term and permanent transformation with fellow humans suffering from addiction, sexual abuse survivors, and cancer patients.
Well, we are so happy to have you with us here today, Lynn. And I just have to ask, I was actually able to attend one of your online workshops, which was, and Michelle,
Oh, good.
part of it was fabulous. But how fascinating your career in aerospace. I saw pictures of you doing the little floating around stuff and all that. What happened?
I know. Well, like I said, I almost don't even know how I got in that. It was actually in a way getting separated from my tribe very early. I always wanted to be a dancer, and yet something pulled me towards engineering. It was actually a view of Earth from space, right? It is this seeking of the outer. Over the course, after getting the master's and doing all that and having amazing experiences, I had the spiritual awakening, and I became to see that whole career was more seeking the inner space within versus the literal wanting to go to outer space. Not that I wouldn't mind doing that, but so I was wake up and feel just uninspired. There was something more for me. This feeling of like only 30 years since I can retire. And I'm sure a lot of people in different phases of their career can relate to that feeling. In my case, I was young and single, young being in my late 20s, 29, 30. And it wasn't acceptable. And so I just started seeking. It's not like I just quit my job right away. I found my tribe online. Actually, it was a meetup called a Women's Spiritual Pursuit. And each week I learned about a chakra. Didn't know what a chakra was. Maybe some of the listeners have no idea what a chakra is, or maybe they do. But just little things were being introduced to me one by one. And slowly the wheel started turning until, eventually I knew what I had to do, which was to completely change the course of my life and quit my job and follow my heart, find my tribe.
Oh, thank you. I love that because, it's really exciting to hear that, you relatively early on, you had this revelation of this only 30 more years of this. And because we, talk a lot about we as women, we go all in with what we're doing, and we go all in whatever we're doing to the point where we lose track of what really, really lights us up. And for you, you went all in your career, and that it has the same results. You find yourself kind of feeling something's missing, something's empty. So you found your calling. Tell us a little bit more about that.
So it turned, at the time, I didn't know what it was, but at this third meetup, Reiki was introduced to me. And she did some Reiki on my head, and I was like, I don't know, maybe I feel something. Like, I wasn't as skeptical. I was very open, but I didn't know. Ladies, I was not even in touch with my body. I was a thinker. I was in the mind. So asking me to feel a sensation wasn't something that was familiar to me. I wasn't familiar with being embodied or sensing my body. It was all my thoughts. But she had her hands above my head and she's like, oh, it feels like ping pongs. And I was like, oh, that's probably what it's like. So I started to be curious about this Reiki. I had a sense there was something to it. I ended up realizing, like, oh, anyone can get initiated. It's like a key code in my body, and I just have to show up at a little ceremony. Okay. And it was very practical. It was very budget, like, I'm just going to do it myself. And the focus for a very long time was on myself, because at this time I'm living in Seattle. I'm an engineer. My friends are computer programmers with Microsoft and Amazon. And so the idea of, the word is embarrassed, if I have to be honest. Like, I was like shy about this spiritual path. Embarrassed maybe isn't the right word, but just like, what are they going to think? Are they going to judge me? Yeah. So, but it's good because it forced me to just do it on myself. And that started to raise my vibration and align me with my higher self, which was what allowed me to make bigger leaps to get to the higher self. Because then this idea of spirit guides and higher self, which wasn't familiar with me at the time, became obvious in a way. And then I started trusting my intuition and making choices and showing up in the right places. And then, like I said, it's just the crank started turning. And so I went to Peru for 6 months, really was planning to do chakra balances like outside the train station for Machu Picchu, like really wanting to do this work to have people have powerful experiences. It didn't happen. I ended up studying and living with a shaman, and then also getting a little Reiki office and having like a couple people, but I ended up touring as a fire spinner with the circus also, because that's where the dance started coming. It's like, no, you have to remember this is for you too, because this is the key, ladies, is we all get this martyr, like, I'm going to be a healer and save the world. Like, this is my purpose, to heal all these people. It's like, well, there's this other part, like, what is your dream? What is wanting to be fulfilled through you? And for me, it is this divine feminine awakening of being embodied, because we've been shamed by our body. And that's why we need community to create space to find safety. There's safety in numbers, because it is safe for us to be out and be fabulous and be shining. And the reality is, it hasn't always been safe for female tribes, right? And so Spirit's like, now it is. And so I had to feed that other part of me, and the movement, the playing with fire, like being fabulous, if that makes sense, was a part of it. I couldn't ignore it. And so Spirit just had that, not, the healing stuff didn't work out as much. And then I'm doing this. And then they kind of have started coming together. And so I do the healing work and I do the performance work, and they're still separate in a way, but they're both giving people what they need in terms of presence. And that's what I want all ladies to remember, is it's not what you're doing. It's not the modality. It's the presence that you're bringing forth to share with the world. It's your intention, it's your love, it's your heart. And so what you do to get there is whatever you want to do. And that's why how making a tribe gets really easy, because it's just about common interests. It's about finding people you like to spend time with, who like to do the same things you like to do, and then allowing it to blossom from there.
Awesome. Did you have a question?
Yeah, I wanted to tell you, when I attended your workshop, it was really special for me to see how all of your trainings and what you have learned, both in the physical and in the spiritual sort of sense, came together with some things that hit home for me in my real tribal roots. I'm Lakota. I'm a medicine woman by trade in that, I studied pharmacy long before I studied and found my literal tribe. And so I loved how you brought your spiritual practices into your medicine woman area, and that shamanic connection. And I just would love to hear sort of how you recommend for us how we blend our modern day tribes with those ancestral practices and bring them together and take them public, like take them beyond the sweat lodge.
Yeah. Well, that was, again, just being aligned with the higher self and trusting it's my purpose to do that. And then you, as being Lakota, you have all of the permission in the world. Me being Caucasian European, I've done my decolonization work, whatever that means. Do you know what I mean? But at the end of the day, I understand. What?
Spirit doesn't distinguish. We're all
exactly together. Exactly. You understand? It's like I realized that it's the elements, it's the animals, it's not where it comes from. It's more about honoring the holders of the energy. And I grew up in Minnesota, which is just outside of Pipestone, Minnesota, which is where the tribes from all over the world, all over the Americas, would come to get their pipestones, which was brought by White Buffalo Calf Woman, the Ascended Master. And that's what wants to come in, is I work primarily with the Ascended Master realm. And so White Buffalo is a powerful guide of mine who wants to work with anyone, no matter. When we call in the spirit of the East, we call in all the races of all the beings. And so it's more about, I think the biggest block is giving ourselves permission, if that makes sense, and talking about it. And then also there is a little bit of, I don't wear that too much on my sleeve, it's like you drop the little bit. And that's where the idea of the sacred clown comes in. That's where I pull in that energy more in my mainstream, just in my being. You know what I mean? Because the ceremonial stuff for me is sacred. I don't always record those. I don't always, sometimes my camera just doesn't work. And that's,
or microphones, that will happen to us.
And I think that's the thing we have to remember, is it is sacred work. And that's when I speak of the whole decolonization, is that a lot of people are taking it and forgetting the sacred ceremony part of it and making it more about the tools. I do cord cuttings, they make it more about the tools or what you're wearing than the energy and the connection and the love, because we all love Earth. We all love all the people, and the world is going to be saved by the Western women, right? And so we want to try.
Yes, I love
Lama
over and over again, and we've shared that. We need to touch on that a lot more, because it's absolutely true. And Lynn, I want to kind of go back to something you said kind of earlier on, as far as your transition to your spirit work. We, especially us left brainers, I'm a left brainer here, probably the bunch.
Really?
And and we are not our thoughts. And that was something I learned, I don't know, a decade or more ago. And it was this, that my thoughts were not really me. And so do you have, any advice or tips for those left brainers out there to kind of help bridge that help me out here.
I think the answer is mindfulness. And so there's so many levels of that. I had, this free blessing of time and space and did these really in-depth Vipassana meditations. You basically have to train your mind. But there's like Headspace apps, just 5 minutes a day, because the mind wants to think. We have to train it. People think they're supposed to be just good at meditation, like, oh, I'm going to meditate. Meditation is a process. I'm going to set my timer for 5 or 10 minutes, and I'm going to sit down and I'm going to focus on sensations in my nose, my chest, whatever it is, something on the body. Some people like mantras. There's many different ways. But the idea is you have to train the mind. It's like wrangling puppies, you know, you're like, oh, I'm meditating. And then 30 seconds later, like, oh, what am I going to do? Awareness, mindfulness allows you to catch those thoughts. Oh, nope, back to the breath. So when you're first starting, you may be off 3-4 minutes thinking about the grocery list. That's okay. As long as you're like, nope, I'm meditating. I'm coming back. I'm feeling my breath on my nose. I'm feeling my chest expanding. And with time, that time between the time between thoughts gets smaller and smaller and smaller. And then as you're doing this, you're becoming in receiving mode. And so you realize there is less thinking that has to be done. Like the world just wants to happen through you. Now I'm a doer, so it's much easier said than done, but the intention is there. Do you know what I mean? To be more allowing. And so I really do think it's just mind training at the end of the day. I do some Joe Dispenza is really great. Breaking the habit of being yourself.
Becoming Superhuman.
If you're an overthinker.
Yes, Superhuman. Becoming Superhuman was.
Yeah, that's a great one too.
Our favorites that we actually became very close, walking through that together over a period of weeks and months, and something that we recommend a whole lot to people who are just starting to come into that space of sort of understanding that relationship between their mind and body, so that they can show up differently, not only for themselves, but in our tribes. And yeah, we talk a lot about the roles that we play as we gather different kinds of women and what sort of things they contribute to us. And that's why we wanted to know so much from you about what's been the success pieces to not only building your tribe, but sharing this gift, sharing this knowledge within the tribe, the gift that you've been given, sort of multiplying it and perpetuating it. What's the most effective thing you've got in your toolbox?
The chakra work, really, it's get that confidence. And that's why Joe Dispenza is so wonderful. He calls them energy centers. So for people who are not quite in the woo-woo yet, or not ready for the ceremony, who are more in that mind, Joe Dispenza is a great introduction into this idea of the mind-body connection, because it's science. That's the beautiful thing. And then when you add spirit to it, and he calls it the infinite source, you know, you can call it great spirit, God, source, prime creator, right? There's all these names, and we want to just create space for everyone. But it's about accepting a new role, honestly. And my awakening, divine feminine Christ consciousness. Now, those words were not directly given to me, but that's what we're all here for. And so that has to be the role that you are willing to take on. At the third chakra, it's the marriage of the highest self and the divine self. And so we have, I'm a mother, I'm a career, whatever that, insert career, I'm a wife, whatever, I'm a girlfriend, whatever these roles are. And we forget about this, right? The most powerful part of ourselves. So it's not like you have to drop the identity as a mother or of any of these things, but you have to loosen their grip and reach for this other one. Like, I am that too. And make that the most important thing, most important role, because that's just going to feed all the other roles, you know? Yeah. So you just have to redefine yourself and just allow yourself. Your kids are not going to be traumatized if you're not like, the first thing out of your mouth is, I'm a mother of 3 kids or whatever. Do you know what I mean? Like, be you and allow that to feed them, to set an example for what an awakened female looks like for both your sons and your daughters. You know, like, they need to see that.
What a gift to give your kids, to see you know, growing from your wholeness and creating, you know, great stuff. So thank you.
No better way to raise a human than to give them that space to do
to
that.
witness your own and know like, oh my gosh, like my mom's doing this for me so that I don't have to wait till I'm 40, 50, 60 to find myself, you know, like she'll be teaching. And that's why my workshop was called Generational Healing, because at the end of the day, we're trying to just set new patterns, new ways of being for ourselves. But, you know, women, we need a more altruistic why. And so that's for future generations. And this is very indigenous, that idea of working for 7 generations down the line. And so that, you know, I don't even have kids and I'm still doing it all for the kids. You know what I mean?
Oh, absolutely. So Lynn, let's talk just a little, let's go towards, you know, our tribe. And when we here at Find Your Lady Tribe talk about tribe, we're not talking about a clique. We're not talking about this group that does everything together or whatever. We're talking about, for me, my tribe is my, you know, 5 or 6, 2 to 6 closest besties, the people who know me, the people that live my life with me and know the good stuff, know the bad stuff, and, you know, my support system. They may be friends, and some of them, of course, are. They may be great friends. They may be tribe between each other as well. But each of us have our own tribe, and we are the leader of that tribe. So, what activities can we do with other women that we want to strengthen those bonds with? You know, and what kind of tools are out there that you?
I have a couple that I love to employ to build my tribe. And one is food. I am so passionate about food. And I think getting a group of friends together to cook, even if it's like a rotating weekend thing, to cook together, to create food together, to nourish ourselves together. What a beautiful way, right? Mm-hmm. That's number 1. Number 2 that came to mind, which is very important to me, is nature. So get together with your lady friends and like go on a camping trip. Would that be really bold without any men to just like put a tent in and go away for 1 night or even 2 nights and be in nature? Turn off your phones together. So yeah, like having a time in nature to really connect. And that might just be a walk around the lake too. But Spirit wanted me to say that camping, you know, and really getting back to that roots, and sometimes putting our Western on the shelf a little bit and getting a little dirty, you know, connecting with that Mother Earth. And so doing that with a tribe, with friends, obviously. Physical activity. So there's so many things, like doing something new, not just like going to the gym but like maybe taking a circus class together, or, you know, something that gets your body moving. And I definitely like creative type things, because women, a lot of us have so many hangups about our body. And so getting out, and you even like going to yoga together, can be, or a home yoga practice, you know, watching a yoga video, but something about getting into the body and having a shared physical activity. Because again, these are also like interests. So this is going to help you weed out people that aren't your tribe. Like if somebody, not that they're not your tribe, we have like different, I have a lot of tribes. I have like pods of tribes, right? I have a circus tribe. I have a healing tribe. And I want to be completely honest, I'm still looking for whatever this ultimate tribe is. Like it's something that I know in my heart that exists. And I know that I'm still opening to it. I know that it hasn't totally formed yet. But something definitely about physical activity. And then finally, spirituality, right? So for me, it was that meetup that I found. I went online, I found a meetup. I didn't know any of these people. And this can be an interesting one, because a lot of us have, we might have been raised a certain religion or spiritual background. I was raised Catholic. And so we make a lot of assumptions about what others will think about something that might be slightly alternative or different to the traditional American Judeo-Christian, you know, belief system. And what I want to offer is, I think a lot of people are actually more open and even like a little excited and like wanting to know this. So sharing, you know, it's like you might have these tribes, these tribe members, families that you have this spiritual part of you that they don't know, and share that a little with them. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's not about like forcing anything onto anyone or being like, this is what I am and blah, blah, blah. But it's about opening and having shared experiences, if that makes sense. So whether that's existing with other people you already know or creating new spiritual communities, but I think having like-minded people that support you on your personal growth like this, I mean, the people that listen to this podcast are a tribe, right? And you've just welcomed me into your tribe, and I'm so grateful for that. And like, it's already, if they're listening, they're already in one tribe. You know what I mean? So yeah, to run that down again, food together, nature together, physical activity together, and spiritual practices.
Awesome. I still have that Buddhism for dumb idiots or dummies.
That I bought you.
We want to kind of just look into that a little bit.
Yeah, like go to the park and just, hey, let's set a timer for 5 minutes and just sit on this bench or sit under this tree and just breathe. And it might even be feeling the wind on your face. You can pick a cue. You know what I mean? There's some people like mantras. The Vipassana techniques offer that you focus on your body, because a mantra is still, you're like asking something outside of you to create some situation that's going to make you feel good inside. And so when we're just focused on a sensation of the body, whether it's breath or a feeling of wind, we're in our body, we're really owning our meditation experience. But 5 minutes, that's all it takes.
I love it.
I love it. So I'm gonna ask you a little bit about, some people may find it a little harder to connect and find their tribe. Do you have some advice for those women?
Yeah, there's two things, is that online, there are so many resources. There's so many, back in the day, there was Craigslist. You could do personals, you could do like platonic friendships. And so I moved a lot. I remember I got to Seattle with this job and I put out an ad for friends. Now you can't really do that anymore, but you could do it. There's so many Facebook groups. So find a local Facebook group. Be like, hey, I'm really trying to extend my tribe. These are some of my interests. Does anyone want to go on a walk? Does anyone want to grab coffee? The universe responds to your desire. So really to attract your tribe, you just have to put out to the universe that you're looking for a tribe. And, the internet is pretty amazing in how, a lot of it is targeted ads, but once you start looking at things, opportunities do start coming to you. And I think online is, even for local, because I do really want to encourage people to try to find local people. But you can still find those people on the internet. Like, I don't know that people meet at the produce session, but if you really are brave, talk to someone at the farmer's market on Saturday, like, oh, that's a nice tomato. Like, yeah, I don't know. But the idea is like, you just going out and just having the confidence to know that you deserve a tribe and your tribe will come.
Absolutely. Yeah, good
stuff. Sign up for a class you've never been to and be the first person to go up and say, hey, I'm Lynn. This is my first time in this class. Just people are friendly. Everybody's looking for this tribe right now.
Yeah. We all are. And that's what we're doing here together with the three of us, is putting that good vibe out there for anybody who's looking for that. So if people are looking for you and a class and a workshop, tell us how we can tell our listeners how to find you.
Yes. Oh, I would love. And so, yeah, the idea at the premise of all of my work is that when you are aligned with the higher self, when you do the energy work, whatever that may be, it actually becomes really easy. Your tribe will come to you person by person by person. And so I have a website. I have a nonprofit where I do the healing work and some of the performance work and some just holistic type education. And that is, the link will be in the comments, www.ascensionspace.com. For some of my movement stuff, I'm not as up on the Instagram, but I am on Instagram at shamama.lynn. And yeah, I'll be posting, I'll have workshops. Oh, and last but not least, I have a Facebook group, Embody Your Light, because that's what we're doing, right? We're bringing in this energy We're embodying it and shining it out to the world so that all of the goodness can come back to us in the form of friends, happiness, health, and freedom, basically.
Thank you.
Perfect. I think you already gave us a whole list of takeaways for sure. Did you have anything else you just wanted to?
Yeah, I want to have a takeaway, a challenge to invite a friend over for dinner. Not going out to dinner, but like, hey, you can even go pick up the food yourself, but cook it together. Not like I'm cooking for you and you're coming over, but the conversation that comes from chopping a vegetable or, sharing a glass of wine, whatever that is. So the challenge is really simple. To feed the kids, feed the husband, whatever that process is, but get an empty kitchen where just the ladies can share cooking, preparing, and eating a meal.
I think that's wonderful, a perfect challenge. And we always ask our guests this final question. How do you tribe, Lynn?
How do I tribe? Like right now, there's two ways. I'm in a business development group, how I met you. And so that is a huge tribe right now, is working on my personal development in terms of my career as a spiritual guide. And then for me, the physical activity, the circus. So I spent 2 hours at the gym with my lady. It was all ladies in the gym. There's like only 2 guys that even go to the gym. So my circus school is definitely my lady tribe. And so again, the physical activity is where I tribe.
Fantastic. Well, we always sign off with the same saying, and it's when 3 or more gather, we are tribe. Thank
When
you.
3 or more gather, we are tribe. I love that. It's true. So true. And even if there's 2, you always have spirit.
That's right. And that's why we're never alone.
All right.
All right. Well, this was so lovely. Thank you so much for having me.
Our pleasure. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much for joining us today for Find Your Lady Tribe. Would you do us a favor and hit that like button and add a comment? It'll really help us grow.
Better yet, find the share arrow and share out to your tribe. Join us again next week on YouTube or your favorite podcast service.